bit later.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Sure.
So I'll do the basic stuff, and then when you start to ask tough questions, I'll turn it over to Ben, and he can. So there's standard users, groups, and group permissions. So I logged in as the system administrator. There's a whole bunch of users in here because this is our standard demo database. And what you can do is just click on a user, and you can set the user to a specific group. Okay. In this case, users are generally in the admin group in this demo so that they can do anything. But our demo database has customers, employees, and suppliers as other groups. And the reason for having the groups is that you can then have group permissions.
Right.
Okay.
Can you create, can we create new groups if we needed that?
Yep. They're all user definable, so you can have as many groups as you want. And all you got to do is when you're in the list here that's showing all of the groups, in general, the Add New button is in the upper right here.
Okay.
Can you see my entire screen? Is it?
Yeah. So I'm seeing all the way over to Add New. So if that's the end of it, then I'm good. Okay,
cool. Yeah. So if you want to add a new group, I don't know. I'm just going to call it MDS staff. And then if you go back to the list, you'll see MDS staff has been added to the list.
Right.
Okay. And then what you have to do is assign group permissions to that group. So you come in here and you pick the group, and by default, you're not going to be able to do anything. So, and all the functionality of the system is broken up into specific, all these different functions. It looks like there's about a dozen of them, 2, 4, 6, 8, I don't know, 15 of them. So you can come in here and say, I want MDS staff to be able to do everything with inventory, but I don't want them to be able to do anything with assets. So I would leave all of those unchecked, and then just save it. And so you can really limit or control everything or anything that a user can do.
Okay.
Now, what generally happens is this gets established when you set up your system, and then it's pretty static from there on out. Generally, you might add a group or two and do some specific functions for those groups. And then generally what happens is for the life of the system, that rarely changes. And if it does, we'll help you change it, or, you or the key operator will be able to make the changes yourself.
Okay.
So usually what we have is a key contact on the MDS side. It's kind of like a train the trainer or a key operator.
Right.
So I don't know if that would be you or someone else, but usually we have a go-to person on the MDS side, and they feed us all of the bugs or issues and enhancement requests, so that we're not taking direction from
everyone.
Multiple people, and somebody who doesn't really know the business process could take us down a yellow brick road that we really don't want to go down.
Right.
So, okay, so that's the basic. Employees is a table of your employees, and it has contact information, and it also has some system information in it, like whether you're a buyer or not, so you can create purchase orders. And if you are a buyer, what your purchase order limit is.
So in your system, a buyer is just the same as a customer. And that's just the terminology you're using, or
well, everybody's a user. I would say the generic term is everybody gets a user login.
Right.
And then you get assigned to a group. You could be an an employee, a customer, a supplier, a warehouse operator, purchasing might be another group. So if you were in the purchasing group, you'd probably get this box checked off that you're a buyer.
Oh, okay. So that's what I wanted to clarify. So by buyer, I mean, or in-house buyer, or in-house person who handles purchasing. Okay, got you.
Right. So only, correct me how this works, Ben. Is there an admin option that says only let buyers create purchase orders?
I don't think so. I think that approval amount dictates who can approve it, though.
Okay.
I don't think there's a system option that says only these people can buy purchase orders. You control that by changing permissions on the group.
Yeah, right. Okay. So
that's fine.
So there are some fields in here like employee number and stuff like that, where if you wanted to get into creating badges for IDs, you know, the employee table gets used instead of the user table. So anyways, let's see, where would I go from here? I was going to go to admin options. There are a lot of administrative options that you can set in the system, like what the next purchase order number is and what the PO number style looks like. So these are all the different numbers in the system that you can control their appearance, and then the next number. And if it's a -1, it means it's going to pop up and ask the user to just put the next number in versus automatically generating the next number. Okay?
Okay.
So, see down here it says, note for any next number field type -1 to turn off auto numbers.
Oh, okay.
So if it's like this number is 96, so the next serial number that gets created is going to be 97.
Okay.
But for the next item number, what it's going to do is pop up and ask you for it versus automatically generate it. Okay?
Right. Okay.
Okay. So, and there's a whole lot of options in here around purchasing and shipping, like allow direct shipments to customers. That's like a cross-dock function. PO approval required. So if you had a really small operation and, you know, it was just 2 or 3 people and you didn't want to approve POs, you can uncheck this. And then as you create POs, they're considered live. Whereas if you check this, then it's going to look for someone to approve the PO, and they're going to have that. Right.
How does it do that? Does it send an alert to that person, or how does that person know that there are POs to be approved? Okay.
Yeah, we have the ability to email. And the email field is in that user
setup.
It's in 2 places. It's in the user record, I believe. Yeah, user's email address here, this field. And it's also in that employee table. Now, I don't know if you know this answer or not, but I believe for Sagicor, didn't Zach create a pop-up notification down here somehow?
Yeah, there's notifications that will pop up on the screen, but they have to be coded in the database. So they're based on triggers on the tables.
Right.
So like, for instance, if like Arctic, when they close a lot on their system, they'll get a pop-up notification down in the right-hand corner of the web page that says this lot's been closed. So, you know, there isn't a generic notification system in place. There is a system in place, and it's tailored to whatever you need it to do via triggers.
Okay.
So we could do it both ways for you. You can get a pop-up on the screen that says, you know, you have these POs to approve, and
Okay.
or you can get an email that says you have these POs to approve, and we could schedule it so, you know, like the email happens every night at midnight or something like that, and it shows
Right.
you what you had pending for the previous day.
Okay.
Um,
Gotcha.
And that goes for shipping orders as well as purchase orders, and probably almost any event that you could have in here. So
Okay.
if I jump over to inventory, the item master list is where all of your parts are defined. Okay. So
Where is that?
It's called we call it the item master list.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where all your parts are defined. Before I get too far into that, you can have multiple warehouses. So you can have as many warehouses as you want. In your case, for starters, it seems like there's just one warehouse.
Correct. We're based in one location.
Right, right. But you can, this is just like groups. You'll see that these screens are very similar in that there's an add new warehouse button up here, just like there's, what was I adding before? Adding a new group. You know, the screens are very similar. So you just come up here if you wanted to add a new warehouse and click it, and then it gives you a screen to add a new warehouse.
Okay.
You can have locations in the warehouse. So these would be like bays or aisles or bins, racking. You can print location labels. We usually customize these labels so that they fit your racks. And they're big and bold and scannable on a barcode reader.
Okay.
So
what about the, yes, I'm sorry. You can finish what you were going to show me, but I wanted to talk about the items or the parts, as you call it.
Okay, so let's jump back to the parts. Again, you can print barcode labels for the parts. These are generic, and again, we usually customize them based on your need. You know, this is like a 1x2 label or something like that. And it doesn't have much more than the item description and then the barcoded item ID. So if we click on the edit, it takes you into the attributes of the items. So here's the item ID or the part number or the SKU, and then the description, when it was created, and who it was created by, and the last modification date, and who it was modified by, and then you start to get into the attributes for every item. And anytime you see a blue link over on the left, that's a user manageable list. Okay. So categories. Here's the list of categories that we have in the test system. Okay. So if you click on it, you can actually go into the list, and you can add another category. So you're going to see there's a lot of repetition in the system and as to how we manage lists.
Okay.
I can add a description of MDS category. Save it. Then look at the list. And somewhere in here, down here at the bottom, you can see where I added MDS category to the list.
Right.
Okay. So if we go back to inventory and click on edit, I think there's about 60 or 70 different fields or attributes for every item. And we've actually grouped the screen. Hopefully you can see this okay.
Yeah.
This is another group where you can do all the reorder attributes for a part. Now these are generic master attributes. You can do these on the warehouse level so that per warehouse, each item ID has different reordered points and lead time and fill to.
Right.
Okay. Right now, with just one warehouse, you don't really need to worry about different levels at different warehouses. But if you grew into multiple warehouses, assemblies and serializing, if the item is a make, it means that you're producing it or creating it. Okay, I don't know if you do any of that or not.
Not today, but it's good. It's good to have it. Well, let me not say not today. I mean, there is a vaccine part of it that we kind of get involved with, but right now I would say generally no.
Okay, it's something you can use down this, later on. Usually, if an item is a make, that means it's got a bill of materials. So you would take, I don't know, 5 or 10 raw materials to make a finished good. And there's a work order process that you can go through to make 100 widgets, and it will consume all of the subcomponents that it takes to make up 100 widgets.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's where we get into serial numbers and lot numbers. You can have serial numbers per item. You can make sure that they force their uniqueness.
Okay.
There's another one here that will auto-assign serial numbers
Okay.
if you're making them. Manufacturer model, it's just a cross-reference field. Engineering part number, the same thing. They're just extra fields.
Okay.
Now, there is a customize button on this screen, and there's a customize button for the excuse me, for administrators on all the screens, or pretty much all the screens, where you can come in and make fields visible or not,
Mm-hmm.
and then whether they're required fields or not, and what kind of field they are.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this happens a lot when you're getting the system set up. We'll help you tweak the screens. Like right now, the lead time field is showing on the screen. If I made it invisible and click save, and then I went and viewed the screen,
We're not.
right, the lead time would disappear.
Okay.
Which was in here, and I probably shown it to you before I turned it off. But it was
That's
in
fine.
the order. It was in here. So the other thing you can do is if you call something different than fill to, you can go in and relabel the field.
Okay.
Okay? So that's how you can do a lot of customization in the system without having to change any of the background code. Okay?
Right.
So there's a whole section per part for costs and pricing. Item as a buy means that you buy it through purchase orders. An item as a sell means you ship it through shipping orders.
Okay.
If this is turned off, that would generally mean that you're making them.
Okay.
Okay? And the reason for these, for classifying parts as to whether they're a buy or a sell, is to make the purchase order and shipping order screens more error proof. So if you're not supposed to sell something, it won't show up on the shipping order as a part that's available to ship. Okay?
Okay.
And the same thing on the buy. If this is unchecked, then you won't be able to create a purchase order to buy it.
Okay.
Because you're making them and not buying them. So, and then you get into all of these default prices. Price is what you, yeah, okay. So cost is what you're buying it for on a purchase order,
Yes.
and then price is what you're selling it to a customer for.
Okay.
Okay. And then we have these different price levels down here, and you use price levels in general for volume. If you have high volume customers, so you'll give, somebody who buys a lot of stuff,
A price
I don't
break.
know, yeah, 5% discount,
Yeah.
and somebody who doesn't buy a lot of stuff, no discount.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's weights and units per pack, and the package type. How you're getting them in the boxes. In this case, it's boxes of 1, and they weigh a half a pound or a half a kilo, whatever your attribute is.
Right.
Okay. So
I have 3 quick questions. You may not want to answer them now, but just so I don't forget.
Okay.
How do you handle population of the database, and how much of what is stored in your databases can we send in that format? So if it's a CSV file or whatever, do you facilitate uploads of inventory, user setup,
Yep. So here's the utilities screen, and you can export your current parts list. Okay.
Okay.
And download it, and it downloads it as an Excel sheet. Open it up. Open it up on a different window. Okay. Okay, so this is the current Acme Manufacturing Warehouse parts list. Okay. So you can turn around and edit this and change whatever attributes you want of whatever item IDs, and then re-import it. So if I go back to the import-export screen, you can load inventory by choosing the file.
Okay.
And then clicking load inventory. So you can do that same sort of thing for all of your bill of materials. It looks like direct receipts, suppliers catalog, shipping orders.
Okay.
So there's a lot of importing and exporting that can be done to populate the system.
Okay. So it doesn't seem like there's much that we have to manually populate.
Right. Usually we try to, especially when there's an accounting system interface, like you're talking about having a Sage 300 interface, usually we'll populate the data for you, because the accounting system and the inventory system have to be in perfect match, or the links between the two systems will break and not work. So we usually help you populate the data. So if I go back to the item master.
All right, that was the first question.
Oh yeah. What was the second one?
Oh, let me just shoot them off, and then you can answer them when you're ready. The second one was, I guess you get to reporting, we can see what's there, but how do we track? Is there a way to track user activity on the system?
Yep.
And the second question is there any reporting tied to the items, the products that we make? I mean, we don't make today, but yeah. So those are the 2 things that came to mind.
Yeah, sure. So if I jump to reports quick, and I go to inventory, this is a standard demo question. So this audit trail report shows you by part every receive, issue, and locate and move that
Okay.
has happened in the data. Okay?
Okay.
So say I wanted to see everything that happened to the iPod B60. I can just come up here and paste iPod B60 and filter on it. And then these are all the transactions that have happened to that part number. Okay?
Okay.
So we received a bunch, and then we issued a couple out.
Okay.
Okay? And it shows you the user ID that did it.
Right.
Over here in this column. And while I'm here, you can click on these columns, and it will sort by those columns.
Okay.
Okay?
And then it gives you a date and time stamp. Is that date field customizable? Can we add a time as well? Oh, there is a time. Well, it says description of transaction. That actually has a time there.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know why we put the time. I don't know.
Yeah, I figured that would have been with the date column, but that's fine.
Right. But anyways, that is what it is. So if you click on definition here, Ben's going to have to jump in soon because I'm going to get over my head. But every report, this is the SQL script basically that makes up the report. And if you know the database and you know SQL, sorry, there's a lot of background.
Yeah, sorry. Is it better now?
You can come in here and modify the output of a report. You know, which columns it's showing, how the sort is, how it's ordered, any subtotals. So a lot of times, if you call up for a support thing and you say, "Oh, I need a report that does this or that," and it's a variation of another report, we'll just copy the existing report and make a new report for you right on the fly. So this is kind of like an internal use only Crystal reports.
Yes.
If you have Crystal reports or SQL, I don't know. There's a bunch of report generating tools on the market. You can use them against the database. The database is wide open. We don't lock it or encrypt it.
Hello? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're
okay. Good. Sorry about that.
So that's the audit trail and report definitions. What was the third? You wanted to do some sort of report on inventory, the items you make, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing we do today, but I just wanted to know what kind of reporting we could see on. Yeah.
So for items that we make, those are generally work orders. And then here's the list of all the different reports, standard reports we have for work orders.
Okay.
Work orders to schedule, work order summary, details, costing, backlog.
Okay. So the reporting related to the financial reports would probably just have to use what's in Sage to see what we can generate for that. Is that correct?
Well, there's inventory value reports under inventory.
Okay. Valuation, that one, inventory valuation.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, here you go. Okay, so it'll show you what's in stock, current cost, average cost, actual cost, current value. And anytime that you get a screen like this, which is technically a report, you can export it to Excel.
Okay.
Okay? So I just exported it, and that's, basically the data just dumped out to Excel.
Okay.
Okay? And then you can do whatever you need with the data.
Okay. Cool.
So if I jump back. Now you said you had a hard stop for like 240.
Yeah, so what which is like 10 minutes away, right?
Right.
So,
Is there anything?
so what I
Go ahead.
yeah, you go ahead. You tell me. You tell me how you think we can.
Well, let me just show you a few more basic functions here. You can store pictures of your items, and you can store multiple pictures. You can store as many pictures as you want.
Okay.
This will show you the 2-week history of all the transactions that happened to the item.
Okay.
This is the per warehouse reorder points that you can set. So when say you want it to reorder when you get to a quantity of 10, you want to reorder in half dozens, and you want to fill to 30. Okay? So if you have those parameters set, there's a utility out here. Other utilities. There's a purchase order utility. Where is it? Where am I, bud? Is it under here?
No, I think you're in the right spot.
Here's restocking POs. That's probably it, right? I don't see the PO.
You go under other utilities.
Yeah, that's where I am. So anyways, there's a restocking POs here, and basically that goes out against those reorder points, and it figures out which items you need to reorder from which supplier, and it will generate. It'll create a purchase order for you on the fly.
Okay.
Okay. There's assets in here. Transit slips are used to move items from one warehouse to another. So I don't see that working for you right now. Bill of materials are what it takes to make an item. So if I was to pick an iPod, these are all the components that make up that iPod.
Okay.
So if you were going to go make 100 iPods, you'd need 100 of each of these. Usually it's not quite so, it's one of these and 2 of those and a half of these and 5 of those.
Right. So I think when I was asking about reporting, I was kind of asking, so now we have the bill of materials here. What can I see that shows me my iPods? How much of that item is committed, how many labor hours was, that kind of reporting. But it seems like you should have those details somewhere there.
Well, it would be under reports, and it would be under work
orders. Yeah. I guess I'm just thinking from a business analysis standpoint. It's not something that we do today, but if we wanted to take a closer look at, whether we were using our labor efficiently, or, if we could source a particular part cheaper to make something, just stuff like that, just to give us a look into. Maybe you can get back to me on that part.
Yeah, nothing's coming to mind right off the top of my head, so let us think about that one and get back to you.
Sure, that's fine. So for me, Ben, we are most interested in the pick and pack, the whole pick and pack part of the process, and how it is that we control who does what and being able to gain the visibility.
Yeah, sure. So pick and pack are off of shipping orders, okay? So a shipping order is like a sales order to a customer, and you can generate a packing slip. There's no line items on that. Sorry, our system doesn't have very good data. So here's the shipping order itself, and then here's the packing slip. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the pick list. But you know, we can force, or not force, but you know, have signatures of who picked and packed. But I think what you're really interested in is using the mobile application to do pick and
Yeah,
pack.
can that be used? Yes.
Okay, so here's what our mobile app looks like. So this, I'm going to just shrink the screen in a little bit here so it looks more like a tablet.
Mm-hmm.
You'd log in and pick your warehouse. And then under orders, I'm not quite sure what's in here. Let's look at shipping orders. Okay. So this order down here is open. You can click on it. And then you can, I don't know if Ben's much better at this than I am. But this is where you can do your picking and packing without printing anything out. Okay. So you can check these off.
Without, sorry, you broke up that right there. Without printing, is that what you said?
Right. I think you basically wanted to do paperless pick and pack.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is where you would do it. And the reason for adding photos is if you wanted to have proof of quality of your shipment. You know, so if the carrier damaged something, you can say, well, this is a picture of what it looked like when it went out.
Okay.
And you can customize the screen again here. We're just about out of time, so I don't want to.
No, it's fine.
You could.
And then complete the order.
Right. Okay.
Question for you, Ben. When you're doing the pick and pack using the mobile app, is it a manual? Do they put in the quantity, or is there an option to scan using the mobile app?
Both. You can scan,
okay.
And we generally support Bluetooth scanners.
Okay.
They're faster. We don't use the camera that's in the device. So.
Oh, okay.
So we use Bluetooth scanners.
Okay.
I can get it. Yeah, here you go. So they attach to like a smartphone or a tablet, or you can hold them in your hand. Or you can buy industrial scanners that have everything built in. So that's generally what we do for scanning. Either Bluetooth with your smartphone.
So you said you prefer the Bluetooth type scanners.
Well, you can do it either way. Like maybe just your managers would have Bluetooth scanners, but your warehouse operators that are doing it all the time would have industrial scanners like this. Because they're going to use them harder and more often. So maybe you get them the industrial scanners. There's no fixed way. You can do multiple.
And so the full app.
Say that again.
Okay. And so the full app can be loadable onto one of these scanners. So these are actual computers.
Yep. These are running Wi-Fi.
Okay.
And this mobile app is nothing more than going to in Chrome, going to a browser page. So there's really nothing to load on the scanner. The program loads itself. Once you go to, all you do is add this /mobile to the end of the URL, and it brings up this app.
Okay.
And then you log in with your username and password just like you would at your desktop. So there's user security and all that stuff built into the app.
Okay, perfect.
Now, it's 2:40, so I don't want to go.
Yeah, I know. Just one more thing for me before I run off. Oh, we can do another one?
I'm sorry? We can do more of
Were you
these demos.
saying can, I think that it, oh, okay. That's, I have to translate the second one with you. I think our connection is kind of bad. Like,
Yeah, you're breaking up on me.
Falling in and out, and I think, yeah. Take a peek at right now is the what happens on the shipping side when an order is ready to be shipped out. If we had a third party provider, or if we have our own driver. Yeah.
Either way, I mean, with the notification system, you know, if an order becomes available to ship, you know, we can send an email out to your warehouse people with a notice basically that says, you know, this order is ready to go. You know, please pick it, pack it, and ship it.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
well, how does that shipping part work? Is there integration with a shipping provider?
you broke up on me. Can you say that again?
Oh, you hearing me better now?
Sometimes. Come and go. But I didn't hear that last question. Can you do the last question again?
Okay. Party shipping provider.
Yeah, they would just have usernames.
Third party shipping?
Yeah, they would just, you would create a group for them, like third party shippers, and give them the permissions you want in the database. And then they would be able to log in and issue out your inventory and probably receive it too. So, you know, it's a perfect application for third party shipping.
Okay, so maybe we need to set up another demo then. We can talk, we need to set up another demo to kind of walk through what that process looks like.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Just let us know when works for you.
Okay. All right. Great. This was very, very helpful today, Ben and Ben.
I'll as soon as I stop it, I'll upload it to YouTube and send you a link for it.
Okay, perfect. That's fine. Ben, thank you very much for facilitating me.
Sure. Thanks. Ben likes it when he doesn't have to jump in and save.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I can get other things done.
He wasn't very busy today.
All right. Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks,
guys. Thank you.
See you.
Okay, bye.
Right.